So, just a few days ago, we saw the release of Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man on Disney+. And as of writing, only the first few episodes have been released. But from what I've seen so far, I think it's a pretty damn good show. It has its flaws, sure, like the terrible animation, ew. But it does have some positives, like the character of Spider-Man, aka Peter Parker. He's depicted in such a likable and charming way that just brings such a big old smile to my face. And this led me to think about Spider-Man in general and how much of a great superhero he is. Like, a nerdy kid who gets bitten by a spider and becomes Spider-Man. It sounds very strange, right? But the way these stories portray Spider-Man and the struggles Peter Parker faces makes us kind of relate to him in a way. Peter, at the end of the day, is just a kid who struggles every day with life, schoolwork, Aunt May, money, and being Spider-Man. We all admire and appreciate his determination to keep on pushing even when he is at his lowest point ever. Now, Spider-Man has been around for a long time now. With his first comic published in 1962, he has been seen in spin-off comics, cartoons, live-action shows, movies, video games, and even stage plays with Bono of all people. Now, with all these different adaptations of Spider-Man over the past few years, we have also seen many different interpretations of his character. Some are more recognizable, like Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield, while others are more obscure, like the weird Japanese Spider-Man, if anyone remembers who he is. Now, in this video, I won't really be ranking all these Spider-Man from best to worst, but more so analyzing how these different pieces of Spider-Man media portray Spider-Man, and what exactly makes a great Spider-Man. Now, just to clarify, I'll mainly be looking at the live-action movies, as I think they perfectly depict the good, the bad, and the ugly side of Spider-Man. But don't worry, as I'll also be looking at Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, and some of the cartoons, but not looking at all of them. There's like 10 different Spider-Man cartoons, and I really don't have the time to look over all of them, sorry. Also, I know there's like a bajillion Spider-Man comics out there, but again, I do not have the time to look over them. If I make any errors or mistakes, please forgive it, brother. Anyway, let's get right into things and talk about the live-action films first.
Also, quick little announcement from post-production Zach here. I am going to be at Dublin Comic Con from March 15th to March 16th. If you're there and you want to come say hi to me, then by all means stop by. I'm going to be there both those dates. So yeah, just a little quick announcement, back onto the video.
So, the live-action Spider-Man movies are known for being very, well, device. Some are corny yet fun, some are serious and clumsy, and some are just meh. But looking past the actual quality of these films, they each portray Spider-Man in very different ways. So, for starters, let's start off with good old Tobey Maguire. Now, the first Spider-Man film from 2002 is a very interesting piece of work. It can have some genuinely sweet, heartwarming moments, mixed with some weird, silly, corny humor, and some special effects that can range from being great to terrible. And this bizarre crash of tones is present in the second and third movie, where things only got weirder and weirder. But despite all the ups and downs in this trilogy, one aspect that remained consistently good was the character of Spider-Man. Tobey Maguire is said to be the best version of Spider-Man, like no questions asked. And like, yeah, I can see where people are coming from, but he does have a lot of issues. And the best way that I can describe my issues is that he's a great Peter Parker, but not a great Spider-Man. Peter Parker is always meant to be this dorky loser who is always down in his luck and is consistently struggling to balance his life and his Spider-Man duties. And Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker portrays that brilliantly. Like, look at how he appears in Spider-Man 1. This is what Peter Parker's meant to look like. He's not this handsome guy who happens to be a bit nerdy. He is, in every definition of the word, a loser. Even in Spider-Man 2, they do a great job in showing off just how unlucky Peter is. He gets fired from his job, he's in debt to the Daily Bugle, his Aunt May is getting old and is also in severe debt, he lives in a rundown apartment and can barely afford the rent, him and his friend Harry are not getting along that well, and MJ keeps giving him shit for not showing up to her shows. Also, this is a wee bit of late edition, but it is so sad how the only way Peter Parker can make money is by selling photos of himself to Daily Bugle just for them to slander him. Like, that is low-key kinda sad. I did not think about that when writing. Like, holy shit, poor lad. All this while trying to be Spider-Man, so when he wants to give up being Spider-Man, you kind of fully understand why. But seeing him continue to push forward despite everything is truly remarkable. But again, the issue is that his Spider-Man is just not really that good. Tobey tries to have funny lines and be a bit snarky, but the jokes never really land, and instead they come off as kinda cringe and even awkward. Like, it's weird, nothing he says to Spider-Man feels genuine, if you get what I mean. I guess with this kind of role, the actor kinda has to play two characters, Peter Parker and Spider-Man, and playing two different characters is not an easy feat. Tobey simply did a great Peter, but not the best Spider-Man. However, the opposite could be said about Andrew Garfield, who was a great Spider-Man, but not really a great Peter Parker. Now, I do not want to turn this video into a discussion on the Amazing Spider-Man movies and whether they're good or not. All I can say is that Andrew Garfield sadly got stuck in 2 movies that were very poorly handled by Sony. Anyway, Amazing Spider-Man 1 is very different in tone when compared to the original Spider-Man. It's more dark, less colourful, and has a more serious vibe, which some people liked and some people didn't like. Personally, I didn't really mind all that much. But the main focus is on Andrew Garfield, and like I said, he is a much better Spider-Man than Tobey. He's funny, he's got witty remarks, and his suit in the sequel is just awesome. Like, the way he talks to villains or bad guys just oozes with Spider-Man charm. You can tell that he wants to piss them off so much before he takes them down, and I love that. Even smaller details like him helping out random kids is just super charming. And I'll be honest, Tobey didn't really have that charm. All he really did was save a bunch of kids from getting hit by a truck and told them to look both ways before crossing the streets. Sure, he did have that train scene which will always be such a beautiful moment, but Andrew Spider-Man is just so much nicer. For example, in the first movie, when the kid is trapped in the car and is about to fall into the river, the way Andrew talks to him face to face by taking off his mask and trying to comfort him is incredibly sweet. Even in the second film, he sees a kid getting picked on and steps in to help him out. This is a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man right here. But like I said, he's a brilliant Spider-Man, but just not really good Peter Parker. And I think the issue is that he just doesn't look or feel like Peter Parker. Like I said, Peter Parker's a dork, he's a loser, he gets bullied all the time. But Andrew just doesn't look like a dorky loser. I'd even say he's rather handsome. He's got cool hair, he's got a good outfit, he's a skater guy. This bro seemed cool as fuck honestly, especially in the ancient year of 2012. But to be fair, they did somewhat try. Like look, they gave him glasses. That instantly makes him a dorky loser. I kid, of course, Andrew Garfield was a brilliant Spider-Man, but when it came to Peter Parker, that's the one area where he was miscast. And again, his character does fall victim to the poor quality of the Amazing Spider-Man films and how he got screwed over out of a third film. But hey, at least he got his time to shine in No Way Home. Speaking of that film, up next is Tom Holland, and I know that his films and the way they portray Spider-Man is quite weird honestly. This was the first Spider-Man to be introduced into Marvel's MCU, with another Englishman playing him, and I just want to say that I do not hate these films at all. No Way Home is easily one of my favorite superhero movies, but they never really felt like Spider-Man films if you get what I mean. Tom Holland's Spider-Man does not feel like a normal kid with Spider-Man powers. He's now this kid who has access to all this advanced technology, and that's not Spider-Man. In the other 2 films, they handmade their suits and were very limited in terms of technology. Sure, Andrew Garfield made his own web shooters, but we see him trying and failing to get them to be just right. Tom's Spider-Man, however, has his super mega advanced gear and has connections to billionaires and even the Avengers. So we can't really relate to him as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man because he does not feel like one. Seeing him fighting aliens on different planets or getting access to advanced gear and going on these huge adventures does not really feel like Spider-Man. He's basically getting everything handed to him. But one thing I do love about Tom Holland is the way he portrays Peter Parker, but not in the way you think. He faces the same issue Andrew has where he does not really look or feel like this dork science kid. Again, he looks too handsome. But one thing I've always loved about Tom Holland's Spider-Man is just how perfectly he nails a young Peter Parker. I feel like what a lot of Spider-Man adaptations forget is that Peter Parker is meant to be a kid, like 14 to 16 years old. Yet they always cast actors who both look and act old. But Tom Holland really shows off the young and even immature side of Peter Parker. A great scene that encapsulates this is the opening of Homecoming, where we see him just swinging around trying to find something to do because he's bored and he wants to do something good. He screws up and is clearly still trying to get used to the whole Spider-Man shtick, but god damn it, it's just so charming. Even throughout the trilogy, we do see him somewhat grow up and mature a bit. Especially by No Way Home, where we see him give up everything he has in all of his relationships just so he can save everyone. By the end, he is all alone, no advanced technology, no connections to powerful people, just him in his suit. It got me so excited that the 4th film will actually be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man story, but from what we have seen and heard, it sounds like the film is in development hell right now, with claims that the studio wants another multiverse story with big stuff going on. And all I can say to that is, please, for the love of God, don't give us that. Just give us a normal Spider-Man story, please, oh my god! Anyway, looking at the live action movies and how they depict Spider-Man, we can see many different pros and cons for all of them. But what about the animated depictions? All the numerous shows that have been released since its debut in 1967? Now, like I said, I did not have the time to watch every single episode of every single show, but from what I have watched, I have noticed that Peter Parker is kind of the same in each and every show. He's typically in school or college, works for the Daily Bugle, has a wisecracking personality, and struggles to balance his life as Peter Parker and his life as Spider-Man. In fairness now, they do change things up from time to time. Like in the 90s Spider-Man animated series, they have him constantly narrating, which becomes super annoying after a while, or team him up with other superheroes in Ultimate Spider-Man, or have him voiced by Neil Patrick Harris for some reason. But out of all the cartoons and shows he's been in, one of my favorite interpretations of his character has gotta be in Spectacular Spider-Man. This show is said to be the best Spider-Man cartoon out there, and while I do personally favor Ultimate Spider-Man since I grew up with that show, Spectacular Spider-Man is such a brilliant show. But let's look at Spider-Man's character. One thing that I admire about the show is that they jump straight into the action. He's already Spider-Man and fighting crime, and I love it. I'm honestly getting so tired of origin stories for superheroes, like I just don't care for them. But what I really love here is how they show off Peter's struggles to become Spider-Man. They show him falling out with his friends, his family, missing events, and losing great opportunities. People around him start to get annoyed at Peter and view him in a bad light, all because Peter is focused on fighting crime as Spider-Man, and he can't explain to them what he's really doing. To them, he's just being an arsehole. But he never gives up. He keeps on going despite all the shit being thrown at him. He contemplates giving up several times, but he always stays true to being the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and that, in my opinion, truly encapsulates Spider-Man for me. Now, I know that a video discussing Spider-Man with little mention of Spider-Verse is weird, right? But don't worry, I do have things to say. Now, it goes without saying that Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse are amazing works of art, and Miles Morales is such a brilliant character. Only thing is that his character arc has not really been completed since Across the Spider-Verse ended on a cliffhanger, and Beyond the Spider-Verse is not looking likely to be released anytime soon. But I really want to look at Peter B. Parker because there's something so interesting with him. Obviously, he is very different from most iterations of the character, being much older and a wee bit fat. But in a very weird way, he is very similar to Spectacular Spider-Man where he has pure determination. Like, how many times in media do we see old superheroes who are retired and don't hero work, only for the younger heroes to motivate them again? Too many times. But despite everything Peter B. Parker goes through, he never gives up being Spider-Man and doing what's right. He doesn't need Miles Morales to persuade him to get back into action. He's already up and ready. Maybe a bit lazy, sure, but you still admire his drive and determination to stay a Spider-Man. So, after looking at a variety of different Spider-Man from different pieces of media, what makes a great Spider-Man? Well, let's start off by taking different bits and pieces from Spider-Man and Peter Parker. For starters, the chosen actor has to be able to pull off the role of Spider-Man and Peter Parker. Like we saw in the live-action movies, it can be very tricky when it comes to an actor pulling off both roles, so whoever's playing the role needs to nail both Peter Parker and Spider-Man. It's also very important to keep him as a nerdy teenager. He shouldn't look like he's reaching 30 and he shouldn't look handsome. He needs to be a kid who is a bit of a loser and loves science. I feel bad for just calling this guy a dork loser, fucking hell. It's also really important to stay true to the whole friendly neighborhood Spider-Man tagline. With the new show, they almost nail his character by having him just help people out, stopping some petty thieves while also showing some compassion towards them. But they kind of ruin it by not really giving him any struggles. He makes friends very easily, gets handed a job by Oscorp, and things go very well for him. Again, as of writing and recording, I have not seen the entire show, but if I have any changed opinions, I will add a pinned comment down below. But it's really important that Peter has struggles that he has to overcome. He shouldn't have access to advanced technologies, all these connections to help him out, or even a great group of supportive friends who never question his behavior. He is meant to struggle, he is meant to kind of be on his own working as a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. His life is a struggle because he is Spider-Man, but he refuses to give up because he knows it's his responsibility to protect people, even if he gets nothing in return. That is why so many people like myself admire Spider-Man. We all see bits and pieces of ourselves in his character, no matter what gender or race we are. He's a symbol of doing the right thing and doing our best despite life trying to drag us down. He gets knocked down all the time, sure, but he will always get back up and continue to fight. I remember being a kid and always looking up to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. Just seeing him push himself to the limit several times and nearly giving up was kind of inspiring. And that train scene, man, oh my god, it'll always bring me to tears. So, to finish things off, while there may never be a perfect Spider-Man, it's important that we all have our own personal favorites who can help entertain and even inspire us. Whatever your favorite version of Spider-Man is, I'd love to hear it down in the comments below. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one.